Welcome back to the 35th Gunsmith YouTube channel. Today we are on part 3 of the Remington Model 4 chambered and 30-06. We have already field stripped it. That was the first disassembly video. The second video, we cleaned it, all of its components. I showed y'all how to do that properly. Now we are on to the final video, which is the reassembly. We are going to start by putting the barrel and the action bar assembly back into the receiver. The first thing we're going to do is we are going to put the firing pin retaining spring back on to the firing pin, and we are going to put that back into the breech bolt. But we want to do, now again, you want to make sure that everything you're doing lines up. So we got the pin in the back. You've got your retaining pin in there. Get it started. That way it'll sit. See how it sits? Wasn't sure how well you could see those pinholes, but the breech bolt moves inside. So like, if you put your breech bolt on upside down thinking that you have it the right way, the pinholes, I wish my camera would focus, the pinholes will not align outside of the back of the action bar assembly. It should only take a couple taps. Now that we got the breech bolt assembly back together, let's go ahead and put the cam pin back into the breech bolt that holds it into the action bar assembly. I wanted to add that once you have the breech bolt back into the action bar assembly and your firing pin is attached to the breech bolt, you can actually push it forward in the action bar assembly and spin it to the position that the breech bolt is supposed to set correctly in the rifle. This cam pin to put the breech bolt back into the action bar assembly is actually relatively easy. I want to mention with that cam pin, the reason I'm talking about be careful it doesn't pop out of there. Whenever you put it back in there, try to set it off to the side before you're ready to put it back into your receiver. Alright, time for the action bar assembly. Now, here we have our 4-end spring, our barrel takedown nut, our action tube support with our action tube support pin, our barrel takedown nut. We have our action tube, our action spring, our action bar assembly, our receiver, and our barrel. Let's go ahead and slap these things together. Something I want to point out about the breech bolt in this. So with this cam pin, once you can only position this, I hope you can see this on camera, you can't even get to the first pin on the back of the breech bolt without removing this cam pin. So basically, in order to even get this off, that cam pin has to be pressed out of there. Then this will spin and allow you to reach that back pin because you can't even reach it from there. So you put this on upside down, then you pop the pin in the back of here, you spin it to be in the right direction, then you put your cam piece in. Through that confusion, let's go ahead and assemble our action bar assembly with our receiver and our barrel. So first what we're going to do is the same thing when we took it off. We're going to put this here in sideways, pop it in there. That piece, the rounded off, obviously goes towards the barrel. Now what you're going to do, you're going to slide your action in and your action bar assembly. But before that, I completely forgot. It's broke, but I'm going to install it just for the sake of the video. You're going to install, I completely forgot what, 4-end spring. I am so sorry about that. So this part is going to go up. If I can get it on there. Boom, it's on there. All right. So boom. Sorry. I had to apply a little force. So you see, and now that slides fully back into battery. If you remember in the first video, it would not slide into battery, and now it goes into battery. I also wanted to add that your 4-inch spring goes right before your barrel takedown nut. Before we can install the action tube and the action tube spring, we have to install the barrel takedown nut. Make sure everything is on there snug, barrel included, because that's what counts. This piece is where your action tube sits. Inside there, your threading is back there. And get it started. Because the tube, if that's not there, you don't have anywhere to put your tube, and then you cannot install this. I'm gonna have to get you an exact weight. I am unsure for this. I tighten it down. It's gonna tighten on its own. So there, your barrel takedown nut. Now we're going to do one of my favorite parts. We are going to install the action tube and the action tube spring. Now this is a bit difficult. You want to wait to put your action tube support on because you need all the room you can get. Now mind you, this really hurts the fingers the first couple of times. If you don't have to do this, I would suggest taking it to someone who offers this kind of service. Readjust, pull, and boom. I hope that was on camera. All right, slide your action tube or your action bar in there, and then prepare to do your action tube support. I went ahead and installed the action tube support off camera. What you want to do is before you even start feeding it in there, you want to put it on your action tube. See, it makes it easier. Otherwise, it is extremely difficult to get on there. It's still extremely difficult even on there. As you can see, I'm struggling with it a bit. Push your tube down. Boom, there it is. So now we're gonna drive the pins, or the pin. Pull back a little bit, make sure you're lined up. Hold it, get your hammer. Sorry. Drive it in there. Get yourself a punch of some kind. All right, I feel like we're getting back to the beginning. We action well. When sliding the ejector port cover on, you want to hold it to where it lines up with where the pin goes. And you want to slide. Oop, we got a dog hair. No, that's frayed plastic. Wonderful. All right, you want to just slide that into your receiver when you put your whole thing on, and then it just sits in there. Your charging handle keeps it in there. Putting the trigger assembly back in there, you'll notice there are two notches in the receiver for the trigger assembly to slide in there, also for the magazine well. You want to be careful though, because your disruptor and your magazine release, the springs will pop off and they are kind of difficult to get in there. So you want to basically feed your disconnector, because it has to be let me pop my hammer back in there. Like I said, it's a bit difficult. Your disruptor has to sit in that groove. There it goes. So then slide it back to where you can put your pins back in. Trigger assembly's in. Let's go ahead and get the pins in there. So you've got your thicker pin in the back, couple love taps, should go right in there. Get you a punch, tap the rest of the way in. Do the same thing for your small one. Look at that. Boom. Trigger assembly is in. So let's go ahead and get our charging handle in there. So let's take a look. We know our pin runs up and down through that slot. So what we're gonna do, find our slot, got our slot, we're gonna stick our charging handle. This has to come back. To fit the notch and the ejector port. I'm going handheld for a second to show you guys something. So you see the pin sitting right down there at the tip of the pliers. So what I do is I take my pin, I grip them with the pliers, and I just stuff it down into that hole. And that will work long enough to take your punch, set it on there, and drive it once or twice. It shouldn't need much more than that. Now the main firing components of the firearm are complete. Your charging handle is attached. Now this actions underneath your grip, which we are getting ready to install now. Originally, a part of this cleaning video, I was going to show you how to do the inlays and everything with the stocks. But I'm going to do a whole other separate video on that, describing the different types of stock finishes and everything like that. So for now, we're just going to reattach these. With the fore-end grip, you're going to want to slide it on like so, to where it sits like that. Then you're going to get your nice, clean, sorry about that, your nice clean spacer and your cap. You got to put it on there. You got your fore-end screw. Slap your fore-end screw on there. Let me find my screwdriver. All right. The buttstock, you want to get your buttstock bearing plate and put it back in there in place. Simply put your stock back on, and just like in the other video I told you, there is a screw in that hole. This is going to be very difficult. I'm not going to record this. There's not really a good way. You're going to have to figure it out on your own. Depending on the shotgun or rifle, you're going to need a longer flathead. I have a mechanic flathead just for situations like that. So once I get it in there, I'm going to go ahead and show you the fully done version of this gun. Fully done. I said fully done. Fully assembled. The very last thing we're going to do to this firearm is we are going to add some Lucas High Performance Extreme Duty gun oil. So I have the action held open here. You're going to want to find some grooves. Just drip a couple drops in there, and all the grooves you see. Top groove, just get you a dot in there, over here on the sidewell where it runs, where it actions. Dang, that hurts. All right, get it worked in there real good, and you are oiled. That concludes part 3 of the Remington Model 4 field stripping, cleaning, and reassembly series. I really appreciate the support from everybody so far, and I really hope someone can find this informative. I tried my best to add as much detail as I could. I'm sorry about the lighting. I'm really working on that. I also want to say I am not in any way sponsored by Lucas Oil, but this is by far the best gun oil I have ever used in my life. Rim oil is good, but nothing beats this. I have been using this for about 10 years. I've had this particular bottle since COVID. It's only about a quarter of the way done, and I have done, I'd say, close to 40 to 60 firearms since COVID. My own personal included, my wife's, family members that needed it oiled up real quick. So I just wanted to throw that out there. If you're looking for a good oil, this would be it. So I also wanted to touch on the cleaner, the Hoppies number 9, the foam. I'm gonna say I'm kind of drawn on that, but the original Hoppies number 9, I'll stick by this forever, for everything, every component. So with all that said, thank you guys. I appreciate your patience with me. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate everything that everyone has said to me so far in my journey to fulfill my dream. So please stay tuned for the next video. I'm not sure what it'll be about, but I'll find something fun. come see us.